It's no secret that ranking solo queue in MLBB is really painful and pure suffering, but it's not as bad as you think. Just like in any other game, you can find cheats in rank too, so instead of just wasting your nerves on losses, you can actually win and enjoy the game rather than be disappointed. If you're tired of bad teammates and want to focus on winning, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. Meanwhile, I'm going to break down the rules for playing solo or duo rank. Rule number 1, don't play characters or roles you're not good at or barely play. What does this mean? It means you need to identify which roles and characters you perform best with and make the biggest impact in the game. Start by analyzing yourself first, and I'll explain how to do it. Alright, go to your profile, head to the battlefield section, and then check the stats. Just so you know, your win rate isn't the same as your actual skill level, so don't put too much weight on it. Since this is a team game, solo players usually have a win rate of up to 60%, while full teams can reach up to 90%. First and foremost, we look at a player's KDA. That's your real measure of skill. KDA is your kills plus assists divided by deaths. Or, if it's easier to understand, think of it like your overall match ratings: bronze, silver, or gold. So, if your KDA is below 2.5, your skill is actually low. You're not using abilities effectively, dealing too little damage, and dying too often. If your KDA sits between 2.5 and 3.5, you're in the average zone. From 3.5 to 4.5, that's a strong performance. Anything over 5? You're a monster in the game. Also, pay attention to your number of deaths per match. The lower this number, the better. Based on this, you can evaluate your strengths and weaknesses and identify what areas need improvement. You can easily figure out which heroes you should main and which ones to avoid in ranked games. Go to the battlefield section, then head to favorites, then tap on that icon in the top right corner. There, you need to focus on your hero's grade. This way, you can see which hero is the strongest in your hands and which ones you should avoid picking. Let me make it simple. 8 and above. That's a strong hero for you. 6.5 to 8, decent, but not your best. Below 6, probably not worth picking, so pick the heroes you play best and use them in ranked games. Based on your gameplay level, choose the lanes and roles you perform best in and go for the win. Perfectly, have a few solid heroes for each lane, so you never get stuck with a bad pick. Now let's talk about rule number 2. It's all about farming. The most important thing is always last hit minions. This will increase your farm on the lane. Try to stay on the lane as much as possible early on. If you need to go back to heal, try not to lose a minion wave. Also, don't forget to keep an eye on your enemy's farm. If the enemy is behind you in farm, you'll likely send them back to base with about an 80% chance. But if they're ahead of you, they'll probably send you back to chill, and you'll know it's better to avoid that opponent for now and not take unnecessary risk. Rule number 3 is just as important. Don't just look at the map, learn to read it. What I mean by this is that it's crucial to understand what's happening on the map, how the enemy is moving, and where your teammates are. That way, you can avoid getting ganked from the bushes or catch an enemy out of position yourself. By the way, if you want to get better at macro play, you can find a video about it on my channel. I also recommend checking out videos on rotations and how pro players move around the map. Now let's move on to the next rule, objectives over kills. Just a reminder of what holds the most value in the game. Jungle buffs and monsters, Lord, Turtle, Towers, and most importantly, the altar, which you need to destroy to win. I'm sure everyone's been in that situation where an enemy Mia or Argus backdoors your throne while you're busy fighting on the other side of the map or taking Lord, only to realize too late that minions just wiped out your base. It's all about controlling the map and protecting your base, not just stacking kills. If you just want to jump into big fights and take down as many enemies as possible, then Brawl mode is for you. Rule number 5, don't forget about the right item build. Your item build should always depend on the enemy team. Don't just buy the same items every game. It won't always work against different heroes. Adapt your build to counter your opponents. Even at high ranks, players forget to buy anti-heal. So if you're up against heroes with strong healing, like Angela, Florin, Ruby, Hylos, Alice, Terizla, Alpha, and so on, it's best buy anti-heal as your first item. If you're not sure what anti-heal is or what it looks like, you'll see 3 items on your screen: physical, tank, and magic anti-heal. These items reduce the target's shield and HP regen by 50% for 3 seconds. If you're getting constantly ganked, it's best to buy defensive items to boost your survivability. For example, against Saber, it's good to choose Dreadnought armor early on and Antique Cuirass in the late game. Or, if the enemy team has heroes with high HP and defense, it's better buy items with high penetration or counter high HP items to deal more damage. Now, let's move on to the last rule. Target the main damage dealers on the enemy team. The main goal in fights against the enemy team is to take out the high-damage heroes like mages, marksmen, or assassins. For example, if you're playing as a tank, your main job is to make it as hard as possible for the enemy to farm. You should try to zone them away from the minions, force them to waste their spells, and generally make their game difficult. On the other hand, if you're a jungler, you can take advantage of your mobility. Look for opportunities to sneak up behind the enemy mage or marksman and catch them off guard. If you manage to surprise them, it'll be harder for them to escape or fight back. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't be shy, let us know what you're thinking in the comments, and I'll see you on the Land of Dawn.